Welcome to the Fort Collins Fellows Podcast, from Colorado State University to New Belgium Brewery, and the hundreds of miles of hiking and biking trails. Fort Collins has earned its well-deserved reputation as one of the top places to live in the United States. Join the fellas as they uncover the stories, places, and people that make Fort Collins so extraordinary.
So recently I was honored to be named one of Fort Collins, Northern Colorado 40 under 40. But more than anything, people were noticing how many women were a part of that 40 under 40 group. And it is amazing how many women are just doing super, super cool things. And today we have two that fit the bill and then some. We've got Sarah Dick and Jamie Livingston, who are with us, who are running a really cool program and doing other super, super sweet things here in Northern Colorado. We're lucky to have them. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you, ladies.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We're super excited.
Patrick, what about us over 40? What do we do with the over 40s?
We don't want
nothing.
The over 40s.
All right. Get them out. Okay, good.
Stay away. Well, talk to us, girls. So tell us a little bit about yourselves and who you are and how you got to where you are today.
You want to start, Sarah?
Yeah, sure. So I am Sarah Dick. I am not a native of Colorado. I moved up to Northern Colorado about 9 years ago. Oil and gas brought me to the area. And I met one of my girlfriends that did real estate. And she was like, girl, you are working like 10 times harder than anyone I know. And you are making like half as much. So you need to switch your career and come over to the real estate world. So I started with a real estate company, Remax Alliance. 6 months later, the team dissolved. The owner of the team, his daughter got really sick, and I had three options: to go work for title, go work for another real estate team, or go work for a lending company. So I chose a lending company, and here I am 6.5 years later, and I absolutely love what I do.
And you're so good at what you do too. It's amazing. Still working just as hard, but getting compensated accordingly.
Yeah, obviously you can see we're girls.
Right?
Supporting each other. That's what it's all about.
Yep.
It is. That is what it's all about. Yeah.
And you, Jamie?
So myself as well. I am not a native. I was born and raised in Connecticut and upstate New York. And 10 years ago this year, actually, I moved out to Colorado and I discovered Fort Collins, and I just found a love for the area. I found a love for the community and the culture. I started my career in real estate as well. And over this last season, I've actually been going through a long transition into building my own online business. And throughout my career in real estate, I found a deep love for marketing and coaching and supporting others. And so over this last year, I've put all of my eggs into building my online business, and that's really taken off. And so I feel that Sarah and I now have a beautiful balance in our skills and how we can support the women of Northern Colorado in building their businesses, both online and in person. So
when did you, so you guys, I was reading, so it was like 2000, it was like a year ago was NoCo Women in Business founded. Tell us a little bit about like, where did you guys meet up? Obviously the real estate world brought you together, but when did that relationship start? And where did the idea for this company, or I don't know if it's a company, but for this group to get started?
Yeah. So Jamie and I actually met through her significant other. He was dating her and he was one of my good buddies. And I'm like, who's this girl you're dating? I've got to meet her. So she ended up being in the industry. We worked together and we never like put pen to paper for NoCo Women in Business. I have a wide variety of friends and I'm a very themed girl. So when you have a lot of friends and you have a short amount of time to spend with them, you do themed parties. And so I did a Galentine's party. I invited Jamie and we had 12 women there that had never really met each other before, all friends of mine. And we had one thing in common, and it was, what the hell just happened with COVID? What is happening in our personal lives? What's happening in business? And we kind of just connected very, very well and became friends, formed friendships over our brunch and mimosas at the Union Station in Fort Collins. If you guys haven't been there, absolutely amazing. But it was weird because it was like, well, let's do this again. So we did it again the next month, and there was like 20. Everyone was like, "Hey, can we bring a friend? Can we bring a friend?" And what do you need? We had like 23, 24 women at the next one.
Yeah, something like that. And then it just continued to escalate and build and grow. And I was going to say, we really call it what it is. I feel that you took me under your loving wing as my friend, and you showed me what it was like to have friendships locally. Whereas over a couple years, I had come out of a former marriage, and I was really like in the rebuilding my life, having young kids, and I had just had my youngest baby. And so when we got together, I remember just feeling so safe to open up and be vulnerable and share, the struggles of going through postpartum and, being a driven female and trying to build my career and become successful. And, I just felt that we really connected, and you provided a safe space for me to open up and be vulnerable. And and then so you invited me to this brunch and mimosas. And I still even remember driving, like I'm in my car and I'm on the way there, and the baby's crying in the back seat, and I pulled over and I started crying, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't do brunch with girls. I don't do champagne. And I'm like, I should just turn around. But then there was something in my head that told me, you know what, there's going to be something special here. And so you need to go. And so I did. I brought the baby. Sarah held her most of the time for me. We passed her around the room. And it was really special. And I think what we found that was super cool was just organically, we attracted most of the women that were there were entrepreneurs. Most of them were either entrepreneurs or developing their careers. And so we thought that was interesting that we just organically attracted like similar women, like-minded women to us. And we decided to do it again. However, the next event, we ended up bringing in a public speaker, another local realtor, Brandy Aspinall, and she got up in front of the group of women and shared her story of 6 brain surgeries and 2 hip replacements. Jeez. And really just continued along the theme that we had already been practicing, which was vulnerability and authenticity and just sharing the real stuff. I'm the type of person where I just don't do small talk. And I know Sarah's the same way too. I'm like, I meet somebody new and I'm like, do you believe in aliens? Like
let's get real here.
It's amazing what mimosas and brunch just really brings out, Yeah,
that could have something to do with that too. But yeah, so I think, we formed this really just a different foundation than most networking groups or even female networking groups commonly have, which is to show up, hand out your business card, make face, and then go home. And then typically just
in your purse, never reach out, follow up with that person.
Yep, exactly. And so what we started to notice over the last year of building this community and hosting these events is that by inspiring the community and bringing in someone to talk about the struggles and the vulnerabilities of building a local business, that really it changes the energy in the room.
Well, it was really kind of cool to watch. I've got a lot of friends on Instagram that are women entrepreneurs, successful in different industry, and just kind of like, it was like the best way. You guys did it organically, and it was just kind of like this, like building momentum. It felt like from the outside watching, a couple of people like tag Northern Colorado Women Business, and then the events, and then like more, and then it was like I would go through my stories and I'd just like be clicking through. I was like, damn, everybody's going to this Northern Colorado Women in Business. It was really cool to see, and like it just felt like they were all having smiles on their face. I hate networking. It's my least favorite thing
about us too.
Oh my gosh. Ryan over at Cross Country always holds these like MASH Brewing Lab networking things. I will never be there. Yeah. But everyone had smiles on their faces. They were enjoying their time together, and it didn't feel like anyone was like, I'm here to build a business. But I'm sure organically over the years, that's what will happen with women who trust each other, who have been vulnerable with each other and are in and around the area. So it's definitely cool to, like, from an outsider's view, watch what you guys are doing.
Yeah, I laugh when you say that, because I'll come into the office the next day. We have our events on Thursday and Ryan's like, oh my gosh, like I can't even look on Instagram today because you have taken over my entire feed. Like NoCo Women in Business, like everything I click on is NoCo Women in Business. But I also think that, you know, not being from Colorado, it was so hard to try to make friends. And it was so hard to try when you are, even when I was in oil and gas sales, I mean, it was like, who are you and what are you doing here? Like, do you know someone I'm connected to? And so like having that connection here in Northern Colorado is like the bread and butter. Like you have to know somebody, or you have to like be in with somebody. You have to be able to, it's like word of mouth is the most powerful thing here in Northern Colorado. And I've witnessed that firsthand. And I'm so thankful that we live in a community like that. But it was very, very hard for myself and Jamie to find those groups that will accept you.
Find your own like roads, you know, Sarah. Yeah, I totally, like my wife did the same thing. She was, you know, from here, I knew a bunch of people when I came back, and she's like, I love your friends, but I got to go find my own kind of like path. Yeah. And it is tough. I can tell you, my wife can totally relate to that for sure.
Yeah. And the one thing that like I have seen personally firsthand, which I think is like so amazing. I leave every event that we have just so like, I feel like I could cry after every event because I just am so happy, and just like, we never planned on creating this thing, NoCo Women in Business. It just happened, but I see people making friendships there. And when they are struggling in business, you do have to have someone that is like-minded that you can call for advice or just to tell them what you're going through. And that is what we've created. And it is the most beautiful, great thing. And we grew from 12 women to a year later. You know, we're going to have over 200 women at this next event next week.
Oh,
that's awesome. I was going to ask how many women do you have in the group? 200 right now?
Those are our events. We've got a couple thousand.
Yeah. On our Instagram, we have a private Facebook group. So yeah, we sit somewhere around a couple thousand. And then our events, typically we usually see about, well, at this event, this is probably going to be the biggest one I think that we've had to date. So
talk to us a little bit about like age, if you can, because the 2000 is a lot of people. So I don't know if you're able to even keep track, age range and different industry types. So like for women who are making the move to Northern Colorado or listening to this podcast and like, it's just not for me, maybe to help them understand like, this is really, you know, what it could be for a lot of different women, I'm sure.
I feel like this is our favorite question.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really across the board. It's, you know, yeah, we've got women in real estate. We have estheticians and hair salons and fitness professionals and digital marketers and social media managers, and all age ranges from young, aspiring entrepreneurs. We've actually even had some women bring their daughters to our events. So like, you know, even under the age of 18, which has been, it's so cool to have that really young energy that's so just curious and inspired. And it's for me, I'm sure you probably feel the same way, Sarah, is knowing that we're able to make an impact on that future generation as well is super exciting.
And we have women that are probably, I don't know, what would you say, like late 60s, 70s?
Yeah.
We have a very wide variety. And like Jamie said, it's not, we are NoCo Women in Business, but you don't have to own a business. Like I don't own Cross Country Mortgage. I work for Cross Country Mortgage. I'm a woman in business. So it's not someone like, we have a lot of people that reach out to us and say like, hey, I don't own a business, but I'm thinking about starting a business. I have these ideas. I'm like, this is a perfect place for you to come and chat about those ideas with other women. Outside of our events, we do a monthly coffee connection. So it's a little bit more intimate. It's usually about 15 to 20 women. We meet for an hour and a half at the hub at Kingston, and we drink coffee and we talk about ideas and we figure out how we can support each other. A lot of women come with us with things that they're struggling with. And as a group, we figure out how we can all get together and support that person.
Yes. And even at each of those events, every month, I'm seeing more and more actual transactions happening between people. I mean, yes, there's like the business card handout, but one of the ladies who'd been showing up for the last several months, every single month, she sells candles. She creates her own candles and she brands them with like sublimations and stuff. And when she showed up at this last event, I went, oh my gosh, I'm actually launching a mastermind right now. And I want to send gifts out, like custom gifts out to each of my people. So I made a transaction with her and I purchased a dozen candles. And yeah, it's just, it's one of those things.
At that event, she brought a box of candles for one of the other members. So
yes.
It's just great.
Yeah.
Ladies, what is the one thing that surprised you most since starting this? Obviously I love the fact that it's organic. I think that's the best way to go. You're like, hey, let's do this. And before you know it, a year later, you've got 2,000 people and you've got all these hundreds of people coming to these events. What has surprised you the most as you guys, and kind of what has you most excited going forward?
How fast it grew.
Yeah. How much it was needed. Really.
Yeah, there you go.
The wildfire.
Yeah. I'm sort of I'm an extroverted introvert. When it comes
Somebody's
to
been calling those amniverts.
Is it really? Okay, I'll have to look
I have
that
no
up.
idea because I had a client who that's what he calls them. Like, what the hell is that? And he's like, it's a mixture of the two.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up. Yeah. So, especially when it comes to my business and the type of work that I do, I'm primarily on social media marketing. So when I show up, people sort of know my personality as being like very extroverted. But truth be told, is like in my business, I'm actually quite introverted. Like I love working behind my computer screen. I love doing my own thing. I don't do a lot of coffee meetings with people in person besides our coffee and connection each month. And even just sort of like NoCo Women in Business has almost kind of forced me to break out of my own shell over the last year, including areas of like public speaking and coaching and supporting other people. And so that's been just a huge surprise for me to realize how much I needed it and how much it was needed in the community to build those connections and build the confidence to break out of your shell and become more connected in your local community.
So if there was like the best way to get involved for somebody who is looking for what your community has been, would it be to join your private Facebook group to start, go to one of your events?
Because there's a membership tab. Yeah, I was just going to say there's a membership tab on the website.
Yep.
I'm looking at.
Yeah, that is correct. So again, when we started NoCo Women in Business, like Sarah said, we did not put pen to paper. We did not say like, okay, let's start this community so that we can start a membership. But what we found over time is like, the need and the demand for more connection to become seen and ultimately grow your business locally. We just realized that there were certain steps that we could put in place to assist especially new members of our community through that journey. And so, yes, we have a private Facebook group and we have our Instagram. And then I would say the next best step from there, especially for those of you who have not attended our big events yet, Coffee and Connection is a fantastic way to get connected on a more intimate level. We actually just incorporated Coffee and Connection this last year as a way to sort of like reincorporate the grassroots mission of NoCo Women in Business, where we first started, which was really just 12 women in a room sharing coffee and mimosas and brunch. And so it gives us that opportunity to connect and get to know one another on a more personal level. And then when you do attend our bigger events, then you have those connections to work off of already. And it's like, hey, we know each other. We had this great conversation, and it just kind of like helps ease the entry.
Yeah, there was 3 events ago. I think there was I think it was 3 events ago. Yeah. There were 2 women that walked into the room that had never met before. And I knew both of them. And I walked up to them and I'm like, they talked the entire event. They were laughing, like having the best time. And I walked over to them and I'm like, how do you guys know each other? This is crazy small world. And we've never met before. But the conversation they were having, it looked like they had been friends for years. And now the last 2 events, they've come together, which is so cool because let's just say it how it is. It is intimidating to walk into a room. I do all of our business relations and business development for my company over here at Cross Country Mortgage. And I do 5 to 7 events a week. And those are, I mean, I feel like I'm like the networking, like queen bee. And I still get intimidated walking into rooms sometimes.
You are the networking queen. Yeah. Patrick and I are like 5 to 7 events. I got a 10-month-old baby at home. I'm like, oh my God, there's no way.
Well, I had 5 kids at one point, 5 stepkids in the house, and I did not allow them to do that. Now they're out of the house. So I've got a little more free time.
Yeah.
But,
well, and like that's like what's so special about this is like, you know, I don't want to like show how ignorant I am to the world of, you know, women in business, but I am. And you guys have such a unique journey of, you know, being a wife, a mother, expected to do well in business. And, you know, we're just looking from the outside, like, here's the babies, I'm going to go to work, you know, not necessarily, but to a certain extent. And so that's where this, you know, women in, you know, in business is just such a unique thing that people are like, hey, I'm experiencing the same thing. I'm, like you said, Jamie, postpartum. I'm trying to maintain and build my business, but yet I have a family to maintain at house. Mm-hmm. And you have 20 women, 30, 50, 60, 100 women now to, you know, help, you know, communicate with and raise you up.
Yeah, certainly. Raise you up, I think, is the key to that. And, you know, they say it takes a village. And I think NoCo Women in Business has proven that, because, I mean, even since NoCo Women in Business has started, how much I have grown personally and professionally. You know, I went from just a couple years ago, terrified, absolutely terrified to public speak, terrified to show my face online. I mean, literally like, wanting to show up online and be my most confident self and have that reflect in my sales and my mission and create lots of impact, but so terrified to do that so much. I would be like shaking anytime I would go live. To now we show up to these events, and Sarah's done the same thing. I've just watched you blossom so beautifully, where, you know, we show up and speak in front of hundreds of women at once, and how I know that there's absolutely no way that I would have been able to do that without the support and the love of this amazing, amazing community.
Well, and if I can speak to that just briefly is, I mean, Jamie, there was a time end of last year, I remember you saying, like, I do not want to come to this event. Like, I am feeling not great about myself and I don't want to show up. And she showed up for our community. And I remember the smile on her face after and during the event. And she was like, I am so thankful that you had me come. Like it really does. It just, the energy in the room and the women in the room, it's just the most uplifting feeling. I can't even explain it. I've never been around anything like it. It's magical.
Yeah. I think that a lot of the reason that we've been able to maintain that energy, that loving, supportive energy, where we're continuing to grow and more women show up at every single event, is that we've kept our mission from the beginning. It's like, this is not a business. This is a community. This is a space where we can create an impact on these ladies' lives and show them that they're not alone in this journey and they have support. And beyond that, of course, we're here to help them become more seen, get more exposure for their local business, and give them the tools and the insights to other local successful business owners to support them in developing their own. But we've kept that mission. That's always remained the core of our business, and I'm really proud of that.
It sounds like you guys have had some bigger events. Can you guys talk to everybody about, like, what are these events? Like, what is, like, kind of first of all, I've just yesterday saw Galentine's, and then I heard you say something about Galentine's. What is Galentine's, for first and foremost?
It's like a girl Valentine's party.
Oh,
like, have Valentine's Day.
I feel like that's a question I should ask Patrick. I'm the old man here. Like, what's
I'm very, very confused yesterday, and then I heard it for the second time today. So it's like you buy a red truck, you see red trucks type thing.
Yeah.
But so talk to everybody about maybe some of the different events that you guys do, some of the exciting things, and maybe some events you guys might have planned to look forward to.
Yeah. So first and foremost, at every single one of our events, we want to make you feel welcome when you come in. So Jamie and I are standing at the door when you walk in to give you a hug, introduce ourselves, to make you feel welcome. I feel like I'm very good at connecting people with one another where I see it fit. So if I see someone walk in, they let me know that they're nervous about coming. I know I'm pre-planning to who I'm going to connect them with in the room. So I'm like, hey, and then I'll take them over and connect them with that person. So we do an hour of like mingling and networking. We've got food and drink at all of our events. And then we bring in a guest speaker for about 45 minutes or so. And we have a theme to every event that we do. So based on our theme, we bring in a woman to tell us a story or give us tips and tricks about business. And that really breaks the ice of the room. Oh, let me backtrack a little. We do icebreakers at our events as well. So we, after 45 minutes of being in the room, from our start time, I will get on the mic and I'll introduce myself and Jamie, thank everyone for coming. And then I will come up with an icebreaker according to our theme every time it changes. And we say, get uncomfortable, like go and talk to somebody you've never talked to before. And it really does break the ice. So, and then, we always say we stand in horseshoes, not circles at NoCo Women in Business, because we never want someone to walk into the room by themselves and all these women that have just met, standing in a circle. It excludes whoever is trying to come in and introduce themselves. So we highly, highly encourage everyone to stand in a horseshoe. So we say that when we're doing our icebreaker, just to make it more comfortable for everybody. We do our main speaker, and then afterwards, the dynamic of the room changes because there's so many great, valuable things that the speaker brings that everyone's talking about it. So another hour after that, and then everyone leaves with a new business bestie. Jamie, do you have anything to add?
Yeah. So I would say, what you're really speaking to is you're sharing our process. That's been our process, which we're constantly improving and finding different ways to make these ladies feel more comfortable and break out of their shell. And, we have these little elements in place that can remind them to stand in horseshoes. And, we do the icebreaker challenges and things like that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the mission is to change networking and provide a space that makes you feel just that much more comfortable to break out of your shell and be vulnerable. And that's what creates those long-lasting, sustainable relationships. And, when it comes to our public speaker, we take a lot of time and a lot of pride in carefully hand selecting someone local who has built a successful business, who has an impactful story to share. And I truly believe that just because of that one simple element at our events and having somebody to stand up on the mic and share their vulnerabilities and the struggles that led them to this ultimate transformation, it inspires them and it just changes the dialogue. It changes the dialogue and the conversations that happen in the room. And so it's been amazing to witness.
Jamie, you mentioned something that I think is important. You said changing the way networking is done. And I keep thinking as we're talking, like, BNI, that has been like, hey, you join a BNI group, right? And full disclosure, when I got in the mortgage business, I tried to get into one. Thank God I didn't get in, to be honest with you. But it's like every Wednesday, and if you don't show up, they kick you out. And if you can't make it, you got it just seems so archaic and honestly just a bad model. And can you talk a little bit about like if somebody like, hey, should I do BNI? Should I do NoCo Women in Business? Obviously, what you're doing is so much better than BNI and changing the way networking is done. More of a comment. I don't know if there's a question in there, but it seems like the ways of old school networking have definitely changed.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would absolutely agree. And I would say that throughout this journey of building NoCo Women in Business, it's most certainly opened my eyes to see that networking actually can be fun and it can be rewarding. And it can actually help you build your business. I think that there's a lot of people out there who are really just burnt out and burnt in general by networking and the belief that it's not worth it, right? Because
and it's like the relation, like it's, everything is relationship driven, if you are selling something, you're just going to have everybody turn their back to you. And like, if you can actually create a good relationship, then all of a sudden somebody's going to come and say, hey, by the way, what do you do mortgages, or you're doing marketing, or you can do my website, and the business will just naturally come. And, and I think what you guys are doing is fantastic, because I think a lot of women, not only in Northern Colorado, but around the country and around the world, really struggle with that. And I know, my wife can talk about that. I'm sure Patrick's as well. And what you guys are doing is great, is fantastic, but it's hard to kind of get through those barriers, and so I love that it starts with a relationship, and then of course business will grow there. It always will. When Patrick and I were doing this, like we don't care who listens to this podcast, and people always talk us all the time, like, how did you start this podcast and what do you do? And we're like, just do it. You guys just did this. You're like, we sat down, we have 12 people, and now look where you are. You have 2,000 people. So yeah. I think just getting started and just, not worrying about what people say. Jamie, you talked about, God, I was worried about talking in front of people and everything like that. And you know what? You're like, screw it. Let's just do it. And if anybody has a problem with it, then that's their issue. That's kind of how I look at it too.
Right. Well, and then I think just what we've learned through the experience of just doing it and starting scared and starting messy is that we are paving a path for these women to do the same exact thing. Yeah. Right. And we've created this culture of understanding and vulnerability.
Okay to fail. It's okay to have troubles. It's okay
to struggle.
Yeah.
It's normal. Yeah. It's perfectly normal. It's normalizing, right? It's normalizing all of it. Whereas most networking groups you show up to that are just like, I have to, button up my shirt and
second pitch and tell us what you do. And,
yeah. Those are so brutal.
I've been a part of so many different associations and memberships and all of that, yada, yada, here in Northern Colorado. And I think that, like, for me, and I've said this, I feel like I keep saying this, but I'm not from here. And it was so incredibly hard to find where I belonged. And so I think, and Jamie and I have talked about this, that is our biggest thing here in Northern Colorado. If you are struggling and you feel like you don't have a place where you belong, come and hang out with us at one of our events. Come and check it out. It is not like anything. Yeah, not anything I've experienced. It is completely different. And you are going to find relationships there. I mean, it took me like 5 years to even find anyone that I could talk to. Yeah. Anyone in business that I could relate to. Yeah. And I would go to different anniversary parties, like med spa anniversary parties, hair salons, because those were the type of girls that I loved. And so I would go to I wanted to be friends with these women so bad. I didn't know how to be friends with them. So I would go to their grand opening parties or their anniversary parties or their sip and shop parties. And that's where I found all of my friends. And now they're all here supporting, and we're giving them a platform to come and, promote their business at our events. So it's, me trying to find friends, going out there, supporting them, finally getting my friends I always wanted. And now it's great because they get to come to our events and promote their business and be seen. And it's so great.
I'll speak to just briefly over the last couple of years. We've learned a lot about the women in our community and their deepest desires, through just doing market research, but also just having those conversations and understanding more of how it is that we can support them. And so we've been able to identify a few different areas of support that they were really needing in order to feel successful and be successful. And that was through promotion. So becoming seen and having more exposure, more eyes on their local business, connection, getting connected and through support, yes, of course, but also through just word of mouth and obtaining more referrals and things like that. And then also education, wanting to learn skills and tools. And so that is where our membership came into play. That is sort of what, after about a year of building NOCO Women in Business, actually it was exactly a year, we launched the membership at our annual event. And it's similar to the Chamber of Commerce, but has sort of, in my opinion, a little bit of a cool factor. And
a little more fluff.
Yeah, a little more fluff.
Are you saying the Chamber of Commerce is not cool?
No, it is.
No, did not say that.
I mean, I think,
You're going to get
anyways, I won't say anything else.
Hey, we had Ann Hutchinson on here.
I was like, we like Ann.
Hey,
Ann's been on the podcast. We love Ann.
I actually just got elected as the new board member of the Windsor Chamber. So don't
Good
awesome.
job.
Yay. Congrats. Awesome. Yeah. So simply what I mean by that is it's similar to the model. It's an annual, it's a very low cost membership. Our highest membership option is $750 a year. And it's as low as $250 a year. And even the lowest membership option just gives you all those, it gives you those 3 core support foundation, that you need in order to feel supported in building your business, whether locally or online. So we have promotional opportunities. We share our members on our Instagram. We share our members on our private Facebook group. We share them on our Facebook page. So we've been able to, thankfully, as this community has grown, leverage our platforms to showcase these members and help their local business become seen. We also are working on more ways to get our members more connected. And so we have private chat groups and spaces where members can just communicate with each other on an intimate level. And including, we have another event coming up for members only in November. It's sort of a Friendsgiving content day. So we're going to all meet together, members only, just at a local brand photo studio. And each of the members are going to get their annual headshots. So they're going to get mini brand photo shoots that they can use for their business. And then obviously, we'll have cocktails and hors d'oeuvres and music and just intimately gathering.
Comes with the NOCO Women in Business vibe.
Yeah.
Are there other similar organizations in Colorado? Have you guys made connect? Is there a women in Denver? Is there something in Denver or the mountains or?
Not that we're aware of, but there's a loom that is kind of similar. She actually came and spoke at our end of year last year. She is incredible. She's kind of doing the same thing. But we have had there's women that come down from Cheyenne to our events and they're like, hey, can we make a Cheyenne Women in Business? How do we do that? Yeah. Denver is we have women down in Denver that drive up and they're like, hey, how can we start this down in Denver? So that is something that has been in the talks of, but right now we are at max capacity. We both have full-time jobs and it's another full-time job. So we've got to get everything, here just aligned and working for us. And then, that might be an option later down the road.
We've definitely been in a season of stabilizing with NOCO Women in Business, having not been really as prepared for the type of growth that we have had. That was when we said, okay, clearly there was a need and a desire for this. And so at just before our 1-year anniversary, that is when we did sit down and put pen to paper and find, okay, how can we stabilize this community and provide them with the support that they need? Launching the membership has enabled us to hire a virtual assistant who's helping us, just keep things running while we are also running our own personal businesses. And so we're in a season of restructuring and growth and, just creating some new ways of supporting our members as well as our community as a whole. So we're going to have some really exciting things to launch in 2024 that I'm personally very excited for.
I love
That's
it.
Fantastic.
I love it.
That was actually going to be one of my questions was what is your kind of span? But it sounds like Denver to Cheyenne and probably as far as anyone's willing to drive, it sounds like. But then at that point, during this time of stabilization, there'll be some talks in the future of whether it's licensing or growth or something along those lines to provide others the opportunity to enjoy what you guys have created and curated here in Northern Colorado, which is definitely super, super unique.
Yes, stay tuned.
we finish every episode with, this is Northern Colorado, this is Fort Collins.
Where do you get your mimosa at? No.
Yeah, you could have. We could curtail it to you guys.
Any
for
place
sure.
that serves them.
What was that?
Any place
that serves them.
That's right.
But on a Friday afternoon, after a long week's worth of work, you guys just finished your own business. You guys are having an event on Saturday. Where are you guys going to go relax on a Friday afternoon? What patio are you guys going to go explore?
I personally love the Sunset Lounge in Fort Collins. I think it's like,
wow, that's the first thing.
I'm a cocktail girly through and through. If I can get me a nice martini, I am the happiest girl. And so sitting out on the patio up there, like the view of the mountains, it's so incredible. We actually had one of our events up there a couple of years ago, last year.
Oh, is that the Elizabeth, Sarah?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, it's incredible. Oh,
it is nice.
It does have some of the best views for sure.
Yeah.
It's amazing space. I would say, just leaning in and owning my personality and having, just done a lot of talking and socializing throughout the week on my business. I prefer an intimate setting. I love a space like Dominic's. I love to support like the smaller local businesses. I also enjoy the finer things. And so I love going to enjoy a couple glasses of fancy wine and some lobster raviolis. And
I still feel like Dominic's is under the radar. Don't you think it's under the radar a little bit? Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
and
I
love
always
that.
forget about Dominic's, and I love
Actually,
it.
let me take that back. I don't want to tell too many people about it.
All right, Dima, edit that out.
One thing about Dominic's, they've got Northern Colorado's best mac and cheese. You can find it like 2 days a week.
Say mac and cheese, Sarah? Mac and cheese?
Mac and cheese
like
is
I love mac and cheese.
What is there like any add-ins like lobster mac, like Jay's Bistro, or what are we talking here?
It is like gourmet mac and cheese, like nothing you've ever tasted before. And I think I make the world's best mac and cheese. You go to Dominic's, you are going to be blown away.
Is it Brian that owns Dominic's? Is it Brian?
Yeah.
And he owns Auto Pint too?
Yep.
I think
and
so.
Also Vincent's, yeah.
That's right.
Well, girls, thank you so much for joining us today. It really is something special for Northern Colorado and a community that you guys have built, and something that whether you're living here, old, young, whatever industry, in business, run your own business, it sounds like an opportunity that you can absolutely go explore, build community, friendships, and enjoy your time. So thank you for doing that here in Northern Colorado.
Yeah, congratulations.
We'll provide all the social links and membership links, and appreciate
NoCoWomenInBusiness.com. NoCoWomenInBusiness.com.
Super SEO friendly.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.